again, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the Rock is George podcast. I'm your host, George Dion. You can also check out my work at metalexpressradio.com. You can listen to the Rock is George podcast on multiple formats now, not just at anchor.fm/rockisgeorge. You can stream the podcast at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Breaker, Radio Public, and more. Thank you for tuning in. For episode 11 of the Rock is George podcast, I have another great interview for you. It's with an artist that's up and coming. His name is Polychuck, sort of an eclectic music act. He started off as a guitar shredder at the age of 13. He hails from Montreal, Canada. He has an EP out right now. It's called Shadows Exposed. It's sort of a combination of R&B, modern rock, a little bit of EDM in there. He's got a lot of different genres going on. Me and Polychuck talked about that. You're going to find out why. You're going to find out the meanings behind his songs. I don't want to give too much away, so here's Polychuck. If I knew absolutely nothing about Polychuck, how would you describe your music to me?
I would say alternative rock, that's for sure. Hard rock, alternative rock. But a little bit on the prog side, I have influences from so many different genres, and it's like a mashup of all the things that I really love, and very technical guitar solos sometimes. So yeah, that's what I would say.
I would agree. It's certainly one of the more unique sounds that I've heard. And I shouldn't say specifically sounds. I should say that when you put out singles, they're all kind of a little bit different. Like you have one which is like a shreddy guitar solo. You got the new EP, which is I hear a lot of R&B in those songs. Did you start out with one and then switch to the other? Or is this something you're just going to go, I'm going to play what I want to play?
I really go, I'm going to play what I want to play. You know, I before that I was in bands. I was playing extreme metal. I was in hardcore bands and stuff. And this project is really just, I'm going to write what I want to write. And it's going to sound like me. If you took every single song that's on my playlist and put them into a genre, the stuff that I love to listen to, and that's just what I make. I make the music that I would like to hear. Yeah.
Your new EP is Shadows Exposed. It came out on July 23rd.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about the songs, if you don't mind. Is there a meaning behind Beating Myself Down?
A little bit, yeah. It's kind of like the lyrics are a little bit dark. Well, they're very dark. They're all about I'm here singing about how life sucks and how it's horrible, but the vibe of the song is kind of uplifting and up. It has an upbeat sound, so it's kind of like a little bit of a caricature or making fun of myself when I talk to myself that way. You know what I mean? Like, not taking myself too seriously. When you're beating yourself down, don't take yourself too seriously, because it's going to go away. It's going to pass sometime. So that's the meaning behind the song, yeah.
Was that kind of inspired by being locked down for the last 18 months? Because a lot of people kind of, I'm sure, had struggles mentally and beating themselves down.
Whether there's a lockdown or no lockdown, there's always a time where you're going to feel horrible, and you know what I mean? Every song is kind of about a feeling or stuff that we all go through. But, I sing about these things, but not in a depressing way or more in a liberating way. Like, I sing about these things so I can, kind of express my feelings and, get rid of these emotions,
Absolutely. Do you want to talk a little bit about the next song on the EP, Exposure?
The song Exposure is more of a call out song or like a FU, but it's not to a specific person. We all, like I said, they're all emotions that we all go through, and anger and resentment is a big one. So the song was really, so I wrote the lyrics because I went with the vibe of the music. I wrote the music first, and it felt like, I feel like I want to say, hey man, to somebody, It's like inspired by the song by Limp Bizkit. What's it called? Just one of those days when you don't want to wake up. You see what I mean? There's no specific person, but it just feels like I want to, say that. But yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
In the Dark, probably continuing this dark music theme here.
Exactly. In the Dark is more of there's dark moments. We all go through dark moments, and sometimes I say in one of the lines, "In the dark is where I get my glow." So sometimes when things go wrong or whatever, I just want to isolate myself, and this is where I find my wisdom, my inner peace. Yeah.
Starting to see a little pattern in the songs of them kind of coming together, and the next one is Driving Me Mad.
Me Mad. This is more about a relationship with somebody. Somebody is relationship with. It's not something that happened really, but it all, like I said, it's all things that happen in life. It all happens to us, and somebody at some point might be driving you mad.
The final song on the EP is Lights Out.
Lights Out. Turn the lights out. So let go of all that negativity and move on. Yeah.
You've released a couple of singles in addition to the ones from the EP that didn't make the EP. Yeah. Did you feel that Constructed wouldn't really fit in, but Here I Come and Nailed to the X are kind of similar in vein, but was there a reason you left those out?
Yeah, the style is a little bit different. Like I said, Construct is really a shred song. It's all guitar. Nailed to the X is one of the first ones that I released. It's about staying sober and keeping the straight edge, because I don't want to say I'm straight edge. I am, but I'd rather just say that I'm a sober person and I don't use drugs or whatever. But it was really more the style of, there was less guitars and more no guitar solos. So it was really a question of style here.
So you mentioned that you're sober or straight edged. Is that difficult being in a band where most bands are, most bands drink and do drugs? And
no, it's not, because the musicians that play with me are super clean. Like, they're not straight edge necessarily, but they're super professional, so they don't get wasted or anything. And I don't know. I'm not really attracted to drinking anymore. I've done I've had my share of alcohol and partying and stuff. So people can do whatever they want. If I feel like they're bothering me, I'll just leave and go sleep.
You produced and performed everything on your EP as well as your singles, as far as I could tell. Had you ever considered putting a band together?
I do. So I do have a band that play with me live. It's true that I played everything, but I'm not a pro at every instrument. So, my bass lines are very simple. My drum beats are very simple too. Same for the synths. So my guys are really more advanced in their instruments, and when we perform live, sometimes we go a little bit more. I let them, a little bit of freedom creatively, to play, more drum beats, not beats, but more like drum fills or whatever. So I have a band, and the next, whatever comes next after my EP will be recorded by them. So I'm really looking forward to this.
I know you're up in Canada. Are you able to tour right now, or is that something that you're looking ahead in the future to do?
Yeah, in Canada, things are going really slowly. So venues are opening up slowly, like gradually. We have we booked a show for September in a venue that can in a 300 people venue. But the capacity so far is 54 people. So, and everybody has to sit down with masks and stuff. So it's going very slowly. Touring is out of the question. But playing live, there are possibilities. Maybe in September things will change and the restrictions will be a little less. severe or strict. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see then. I'm really looking for I'm you know any opportunity to play live, man.
Do you plan a physical release of the new EP?
I don't think so. Not of the EP. If I do something, it'll be vinyl. Just because I like vinyl because it sounds better to me. I love to listen to my music on vinyl. It's kind of cooler. I don't see the point of doing a physical CD because the quality is just exactly the same as Spotify and without the convenience. So if I do anything, it will be on vinyl.
Yeah, absolutely. Vinyl seems to be the physical media of choice these days because everything's so digital and compressed and all
Yeah.
that other fun stuff.
Yeah, and I love the fact that when people listen to vinyl, they really have to make the effort of really like putting the disc, and sitting down and really taking time to listen to the music. So that's something that I really like about vinyls. CD would be the same, but the quality is not better than Spotify.
Right, and I think if you have the ability to skip through stuff, you will. But if
Yeah,
you have to sit there and listen to the whole thing, I
exactly.
enjoy it more.
Exactly. Yeah. Cassette is also one that you wouldn't be able to skip, but the quality is not there. Like
No, some guys are doing it, but I don't understand that
yeah,
particular format.
it's kind of hip to have a cassette. I mean, that's probably the only reason why. It's a small object that is, fans like to have to like possess a physical, object of fans that, collectors or whatever. So that's something cool. But aside from that, I think vinyl is probably what I'm gonna do if I do any physical copies. If not, Spotify works great, or any other platform like music. I'm talking when I say Spotify, I include Apple and SoundCloud and all these platforms.
Of course. Hey guys, Rock is George here with the Rock is George podcast whiskey break. I figured since Polychuck is from Canada, Montreal, Canada to be specific, we should do a Canadian whiskey tasting. So today I got something that's new to the market. It's called Bearface. It's a 7-year-old Canadian whiskey, triple oak aged. Basically, with Canadian whiskey, there's no real rules on what they need to do, what the ingredients need to be, how long it needs to be aged, and stuff like that. Where when you get into Scotch and bourbon, there's certain time periods that need to go by or ways that they need to be aged. Like I said, Bearface is something rather new. They got a couple of different offerings. I have the triple oak here, and it says their triple oak release is single grain, matured for 7 years, and then it's elementally aged. I think that's just a fancy slogan they made up. They put it in French oak red wine casks and dried virgin Hungarian oak, and then they took it out into the elements of Canada. So it was exposed to the cold, the heat, and whatever temperatures the area of Canada that they were in kind of affected the wood and imparted it on the whiskey inside. Sometimes just a fancy way to sell stuff, but hey, worked for me, got me to buy it. The other thing that got me to buy it was $30. So you can't go wrong. $30 7-year-old whiskey. Let's give it a try here. It's got a very sweet smell to it. You could definitely smell that oakiness to it. So let's give it a sip. It's very smooth. You could taste the spice from the oak. There's a lot of caramely sweetness to it. It's probably more oaky than I've tasted for something else that was triple oak aged. I don't know if that's the elements influencing it, but it's a really good whiskey. It's warm on the tongue. It's smooth going down. I think it's good if you're a new whiskey drinker or an old pro like me at this point. Like I said, $30 can't be beat. It's worth a try. Check it out. Bearface Canadian Whiskey Triple Oak. Now back to Polychuck. You've made a couple of guest spots on other artists' music. How did you get to know Ian Matthew?
Oh, I started following him on Instagram. I actually saw an ad that he had posted on Instagram, and I thought I loved his voice. I loved his melodies, his style is completely different than mine. And back then he was really more in the hip hop style. It was more like a little bit more like Post Malone, like sung hip hop or whatever. I don't really know how to describe it, but the new, you know what I mean. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Lots of auto tune, but really good melodies. And I reached out to him and said, "Hi man, I love your music. It's great." And he said, "Hey, cool. I'll follow back." And then here we are a year after. He reached out to me, "Hey man, you really shred. How about we do a song together?" I was like, "Yeah, for sure, man. Anytime." And that's how we met.
Now, on the flip side, you play with a completely different style band as well. You appear on a single with Numbskull. How did that come about?
This guy, we also met on Instagram. But what's funny is that we come from the same town. We're both from Montreal, and from the same background as well. Like he was in the extreme metal before. He's an amazing drummer, really extreme metal drummer. But yeah, and he reached out to me. We're friends. Like we've met in real life because we're both in Montreal, and we were talking about making something together, and it finally happened. So yeah.
Excellent. It seems like Instagram is uniting musicians left and right.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. I also offer to people on Instagram, to my followers on Instagram, if they want, I offer like guitar features. So they can reach out to me, and I'll, for a fee, I'll play a solo on their song. So there's a few artists that have done that, but haven't written my name on there on the, and that's totally fine. Like I don't require, like it's not required to do so, but it's something that I offer. So sometimes I'll meet artists that way too.
You also do guitar instruction, not just online, but do you do classes?
Yeah, I only do guitar classes online. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I only do Zoom lessons to people all over the world, and my biggest platform for that is Instagram and TikTok. People find me on Instagram and TikTok, and it's what I do full time now. It's become my day gig. So that's really cool. That's really that's something that allowed me to always be in my studio, always have a guitar in hand. So it's a great environment to be in when you're writing music and when you want to release music. So
what is your go-to guitar setup?
It's a good question. I would say a Marshall Plexi with a tube screamer and a Suhr guitar. Yeah, it's just perfect. It's very simple, but very effective.
A Suhr guitar. That's an interesting choice, I think.
Yeah, because it's like, to me, it's like I love the classics. I love the the Les Paul and the Stratocaster, Telecaster, but the Suhr to me is kind of like an upgraded version of the classics. You know what I mean? So I'm a huge fan of that brand. I play with the Suhr. I played on every song. I played with my Suhr. Not every part, but I played with my Suhr on every song, and I really just love the feel. And obviously a Marshall Plexi, you can't go wrong with that.
So for all intents and purposes, you are a guitar shredder. I mean, you got that one single out where you shred, and you play a main guitar on your singles on the EP as well. Do you think that the shred guitar is sort of a dying art?
I think so. Yeah, big time. But it's also because it's becoming, people have been playing the same kind of licks for, since the 80s. So we need to find ways, you know what I mean? Not I don't say that in a bad way, but we need to find, more innovative ways to make, just to make shredding more interesting again. There's guys like Tosin Abasi who plays he plays in Animals as Leaders. He's known as a great shredder. All the new guys, they found ways to sound different because it was cool in the 80s, I guess. I wasn't even born. I was born in 89, but when Yngwie Malmsteen and Steve Vai came with all these scales and crazy stuff, well, it was different than what Led Zeppelin, what Jimmy Page was doing and stuff. But if you keep doing the same thing after 40 years, it gets a little bit like, oh, okay. You know what I mean? So for me, I try to mix a little bit of fusion, and even fusion. It's been there for a long time, but I try to mix a little bit of fusion in the more R&B kind of sound that I have. So I try to do a little bit of neo soul, sometimes neo soul with lots of distortion. So it's hard to describe, but I try to be different, and that's what I think shredders should do if they wish that the art of shredding stays alive. Yeah.
Who are some of your favorite guitar heroes?
Alan Holdsworth, big time. Paul Gilbert, obviously, Paul Gilbert, Steve Vai, all the classics. They were awesome. They're still awesome. It's just that it's old. I don't want to say old, but it's you know what I mean. Yeah. Obviously Kirk Hammett. When the first time I heard Kirk Hammett, I was like, oh boy, what is this? I was probably 8 or 9, and I heard that, and I was playing guitar. I had been playing guitar for 2-3 years, and because I started at 6. But when I heard Kirk Hammett, I was like, oh boy, what is this? I want to do that. So yeah, Kirk Hammett, big time, and yeah, a lot of jazz guys, like I said, Alan Holdsworth. Yeah, there are so many, man. The list goes on and on and on.
So let's get to Polychuck, the Muay Thai fighter.
Yeah.
What's that all about?
It's funny, man. I was never I've been playing guitar for 25, 26 years, and I was always the kind of guy who would not move too much. I would spend 8 hours a day practicing, and in my mid-20s, I thought, man, I got to start training. I got to start moving a little bit. And there was a gym right across the street from where I lived. It was a MMA gym. And I thought, man, I wish I knew how to fight. That's pretty badass. I just walked in and signed up, and I've been there ever since. But it's been 4 years. And it's become a passion of mine. Now I love to train. I love to fight, and it's really become another passion.
So is it MMA style fighting that you're doing, or is there something specific for Muay Thai competitors?
I've fought Muay Thai, and maybe eventually I'll do MMA. And I train MMA, but I've only been I've been doing striking, so the Muay Thai style, for 4 years now. But I've only been doing wrestling and jiu-jitsu for about 1.5 years. And MMA is really a mix of all these, it's mixed martial arts. So it's striking with grappling. So I didn't think my grappling was, advanced enough to fight in MMA. But eventually, if I can, I'll definitely do it. It's just fighting in general, I find, is a great art. I love it. It makes me a better person. It makes me a more humble person.
Sure.
Yeah, when you walk into a martial arts gym and you see all these guys that can kick your ass, it's intimidating, but it's humbling. You see that you can't just be that douchebag who and I think about that when I drive in Montreal. Montreal there's a lot of traffic in Montreal, and there's people honking and angry all the time, and sometimes I even see people getting out of their cars and fighting. And I would never. Maybe I would have done that before. Not really. I'm not really an angry person, but you never know. But now I would never do that, man. When you know how to fight, you want to avoid fighting at all costs, and that's something that martial arts taught me. And also being more fit, being just more, just generally fit, just more healthy. So it truly made me a better person.
Well, it sounds like you're fighting the good fight all around. Your new album is Shadows Exposed. It's an EP. Yeah. And it's on all the streaming outlets right now. I want to thank you for taking the time to be on the Rockish George podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, man. Appreciate it.
I want to thank Polychuck for appearing on the Rockish George podcast. I want to give a shout out to Chipster PR for making it happen. You can check out Polychuck at his official website, polychuck.com. There you can link over to his social media accounts. Be sure to stream his latest EP called Shadows Exposed. Thanks again for tuning in to the Rockish George podcast. I've already got episode 12 ready to go. Should be debuting in a week or so. You've been great. I've been George Dion, and I'll see you soon.